Hey guys, what's going on? Aaron here. So when will the top of the market be for Bitcoin, ETH, and altcoins? Every few weeks, I ask Grok Heavy, this is the $300 a month Grok subscription, what it thinks. And I update you every few weeks when I do this again. So if you have not subscribed and you want to stay updated on Grok Heavy's predictions for the market, make sure to do so. So these are the last two times I asked Grok Heavy what it said for Bitcoin, for ETH, and for altcoins. I asked it August 10th and then October 8th. And what we saw the first two times is that the price went a little bit higher and it pushed the date out by 1 to 2 months. So today I asked Grok Heavy the exact same question, but I added one extra question, which is why did you change the prediction from the last time? Because that's very important. Why did it change the date and the price? So here is the prompt, and then I'll go into the responses for today and also why it changed its answer. I say you are a top tier crypto analyst AI with access to historical market data, on-chain analytics, macro trends, and sentiment analysis. Predict the exact date and price of the next market peak for Bitcoin, ETH, and the altcoin market as a whole, which would be the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. For each prediction, provide a detailed reasoning referencing past cycles, on-chain metrics, ETF flows, halving data, and macroeconomic conditions. Double check your work step by step to minimize errors and confirm your predictions are internally consistent. Explain what events or conditions could cause the peak to happen sooner than predicted and what could delay it. Explain what could cause the peak price to be higher or lower than your base prediction. And finally, give probabilities for your prediction date and price range. Also reference how your new predictions differ from the ones you made earlier this month, and explain what specific market or macro changes caused those updates. So Grok Heavy thought for 2 minutes and 53 seconds, and the research goes well beyond what is on X/Twitter, as you can see here. It's looking at all of these different websites. If I click see all, there will be even more here. So it does a lot more than just pulling from X, which a lot of people in the comments in my previous video thought it did. So for Bitcoin, it says December 10th, 2025 at a price of $185,000. The reasoning, historical cycles indicate peaks 12 to 18 months after the halvings, with April 2024 event suggesting a late 2025 top. So a lot of people are calling for the top of the cycle to happen at the end of this year. This would be akin to 2017 and 2021 December highs. The current price of around 115K shows consolidation, but on-chain metrics are still bullish. The MVRV ratio, supply in profit, and active addresses are up 15% month over month. ETF flows hit $3.55 billion of net inflows in early October, but turned mixed mid-month. Yet overall year-to-date inflows exceed $25 billion, driving demand. Some macro supports of the Q2 GDP at 3.8%, global growth 3.2%, Fed cuts to 4 to 4.25 with another expected, lowering recession risks to 35%. Sentiment greed index 72 signals euphoria buildup, projecting a 1.6 from current price for mature cycle. So it double checked its work. It gets very annoyed when I ask AI to check your work. So events that could cause the peak to happen sooner. So before December 10th. Explosive ETF inflows resuming, positive election outcomes, boosting risk on, or faster Fed cuts, very true, if inflation drops below 2.5%. What could cause a delay in the peak for Bitcoin? Persistent outflows over $500 million a day, escalated geopolitical risks, Middle East escalation, or inflation rebound prompting rate pause. Yes, if we get a pause in the rate cuts, that could totally change everything. Or if we get faster than expected rate cuts or higher, that could cause the peak to happen sooner. What could cause the price to be higher? Surge in institutional buys like MicroStrategy adding to its stack, AI energy demand boosting mining utility, or sub 3% global growth avoidance. Lower peak price, regulatory setbacks like ETF restrictions, macro slowdown, or on-chain whale dumping. Yeah, if there's a lot of selling, that could lower the price. So it gives itself a 50% chance it'll happen between December 1st and December 31st. So 50% chance that Bitcoin will hit 185K in December. So now we get into the differences from the prediction that it gave earlier this month, right here. Earlier this month, October 2025, I predicted November 18th at 165K, now delayed to December 10th and raised to 185K due to mid-October price dips to 115K from volatility, mixed ETF flows, but offset by stronger macro updates like Q3 GDP forecasts at 3.9%, up from 3.8%, and reduced recession odds from 40% to 35%, extending the rally with higher upside. So it says there are better macro conditions and reduced odds that we will go into a recession. Those are the main reasons that it gave itself another month and upped it $20,000 for the peak price for Bitcoin. So next I want to talk about Ethereum and then altcoins. I want to take a quick pause and talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Figure. We've seen a lot of platforms talk about bridging traditional finance and crypto, but Figure is actually doing it. They're the largest non-bank mortgage lender in the US, with over $16 billion unlocked on their lending platform. And now they're offering Bitcoin, ETH, and SOL-backed loans with some of the lowest fixed rates I've seen, just 8.91% at 50% LTV. They use decentralized MPC custody as well, which means your Bitcoin, ETH, and SOL stay safe with multiple key shards to protect you from single entity custody failure. Whether you're funding a new purchase like a down payment on a home, investing in new opportunities, or even buying more Bitcoin, Figure makes it transparent and straightforward. Visit their app or click my link below to take out a Bitcoin-backed loan with Figure today. So for Ethereum, we have January 8th, 2026 at $8,500. So from October 8th, we are seeing it pushed out another 3 weeks or so and giving itself another $1,300 on the upside for the price of ETH. So let's talk about its reasoning. ETH lags Bitcoin by 1 to 2 months in cycles, with the current price of around $4,100, up from $3,200 in August, showing the rotation starting as Bitcoin ETH ratio climbs to 0.036. We're seeing good staking ratios, DEX volumes, and also ETF inflows as well. For macro, we have the same supportive Fed cuts like we talked about for Bitcoin, and that 3.8 GDP, which fuels DeFi growth. Sentiment is around 72 for the Fear and Greed Index, so its projections are 2x from the current price, based on 2021 4x, but moderated by competition, targeting above $5,000 to $10,000. So it double-checked its work, and now we have events causing the peak to happen sooner. ETH ETF inflows spiking over 300 million a day, major dApp adoption like AI on ETH, or Bitcoin quick top accelerating rotation. So yeah, if Bitcoin peaks sooner, that could possibly cause a sooner peak for Ethereum. Events causing a delay, Bitcoin dominance surging over 60%, network fees spiking from congestion, or macro tariffs hitting growth. So it says that if Bitcoin dominance surges above 60%, that could cause a delay. Well, right now we are hovering right around 60% at currently 59.67 as of me making this video. Back in the summer, Bitcoin dominance hit 66%. So we're quite a bit lower. I don't necessarily think that is a huge concern, but that's what it gives anyway. So what would cause a higher peak price for Ethereum? DeFi total value locked to be over $200 billion, L2 scaling success, or macro becomes stronger like a higher GDP. What would cause ETH to be lower? SEC scrutiny on staking, L1 rivals like Solana taking some of that liquidity, or obviously a recession or a rise of a recession risk. So it's giving itself a 45% chance that within January, it'll hit this price, or ETH will be $8,500. Differences from earlier predictions, right? Because like we saw back on October 8th, it gave ETH a peak price of $7,200 on December 22nd. So now it's moved it, again, 3 weeks forward and $1,300 higher. So earlier October prediction was December 22nd at $7,200, now pushed to January 8th and raised to $8,500 due to ETH's slower momentum amid Bitcoin's October consolidation. The price is stuck around $4,100 versus expected $5,000, but it's boosted by recent ETF inflows, $169 million of outflows reversed to positives, and macro improvements. Fed cut expectations, GDP uptick, allowing more upside in an extended cycle. So Grok is calling for an extended cycle. Grok may not think that the 4-year cycle is going to hold, right? It's saying, well, it may be extended. Pretty interesting. So let's talk about the altcoin market as a whole. This is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. It's giving the prediction of February 12th at $3.8 trillion. So the reasoning for this is alts peak last in cycles. For example, in 2021, it was after all the major altcoins and Bitcoin, with the current market cap of around $1.3 trillion, hitting highs as Bitcoin dominance falls to 55%. So currently, we are seeing the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH, which is what it's saying here. That would be total 3. We're seeing that at around $1 trillion, a little bit above $1 trillion right now. So it's saying $1.3 trillion, which is obviously a little bit high. On-chain, we are seeing rising volumes in altcoins, sentiment greed at 72, signaling a rotation. Halving cycle extends bull to early 2026. On the macro front, we got 3.2% global growth, which is enabling risk assets. Projections to hit 1 trillion plus by 2026 per analysts, with 3x from current fitting reduced ROI. New narratives like AI, RWA drive all this. Events causing altcoins to peak sooner. Early majors like major altcoins top. Viral alt projects like meme coins, those go crazy. Or macro stimulus like deeper cuts. Events causing a delay in altcoins. Bitcoin prolonged rally. Alt-specific regulations, or a slowdown in growth. What would bring the market cap higher? Intense altcoin season, dominance less than 50%, DeFi boom, or robust 2026 GDP numbers. Lower peak market cap, major crashes, liquidity dries up, or inflation spikes. It's giving itself a 40% chance that this will happen in February, where the market cap for alts will hit $3.8 trillion. Now, what made it different from earlier predictions? So earlier October forecast was January 15th at 3.2 trillion, now delayed to February 12th and increased to $3.8 trillion, reflecting October's slower rotation, influenced by Bitcoin's dominance hold amid volatile ETF flows, but upgraded due to positive macro shifts, global growth steady at 3.2%, and lower recession risks, which all enable bigger spillover. So my thoughts on this altcoin market cap, it seems enormous. I mean, if it's at 1 trillion now, they're saying it's 1.3, so they're a little off here. That is almost a 4x to get to $3.8 trillion. So I think that is incredibly unlikely that will happen this cycle, especially before February 12th. If you've been following my videos here, you know that there is a ton of bullish stuff in the works. Everything from JP Morgan wanting to use Bitcoin and ETH as collateral. I mean, there are just so many bullish things happening behind the scenes, but it's unlikely that the altcoin market will do a 4x and add $3 trillion in a couple months. Nonetheless, what Grok says here is pretty accurate, but like most YouTubers, it seems like it keeps pushing out the goalposts, so just take what it says with a grain of salt. It's definitely projecting a later market peak than would be in alignment with previous post-halving years, alts peaking in February. But when I asked Grok the same question on August 10th, so this is a few months ago, it said that Bitcoin would peak on October 15th at $145K and ETH on October 20th at $5,800. So it certainly missed those marks by a ton. Seeing as though right now we are well past October 15th and October 20th, and Bitcoin did not get close to 145K, and ETH did not get close to $5,800. But there's a lot going on, right? We have rate cuts this week, QT possibly ending as soon as next week or this week. The government shutdown is probably ending in the next 30 days, which is contributing to the current weak liquidity environment. Probably another rate cut in December, more rate cuts next year in 2026. Plus, we're seeing a probable end to the trade tension between the US and China. So all of these things could definitely pump the price of Bitcoin and altcoins a lot higher. But curious to hear your thoughts below. Leave a comment with what you think about what Grok is telling us in this update. Hope you guys are doing well. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.